Hello, and you're very welcome to this episode of The Throne Show. We're just after watching. Eoin is still the most excited man in Ireland. Episode 3, The Long Night, it's concluded. The Battle of Winterfell is over.
Huge battle.
Eoin, your initial thoughts on the episode?
I thought it was class. I thought they did such a good job of choreographing the same director obviously as Battle of the Bastards and stuff like that, but just he did such a good job of flitting between so much action, ebbing and flowing, keeping the pace good, and it was all just so character based. I thought they had 20 or something characters to get through, and they jumped from them very well.
Yeah.
Fiona, your reaction?
Arya. In Arya we trust. No one I know saw that coming. And we did a thing on the site last week about going through all the staff's predictions. And there must have been about 9 of us that put in our 2 cents.
Spot on, yeah.
But nobody got it. Nobody said Arya Stark would be the one that came to save the day. And I can't believe that they did manage to sneak that one up on us and that it worked so well. Because I think my biggest fear with Game of Thrones is that they bring in a twist that wouldn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Whereas that twist made so much sense that you're kind of like, why didn't we think of this? Why didn't anyone think of this? And funnily enough, someone did say to me recently, like, what was the whole point of Arya's faceless men training? Like, why did she train to be this deadly assassin? And I was like, yeah, I know. God, maybe that will come up like later on with Cersei. But yeah, the Night King.
Yeah, he's destroyed.
He's gone, and at the hands of Arya Stark.
I really don't know what this means for the last 3 episodes, but we can talk about that in a minute.
Yeah. But yeah, I thought it was a great episode overall. I do know a lot of people were complaining about how dark it was, which I think was kind of disappointing because Miguel Sapochnik, who directed that episode and has always done a phenomenal job on the likes of the Battle of the Bastards and Hardhome, I mean, I guess he was up against a challenge that battle always had to take place at night, as opposed to every other battle we've seen. But yeah, it was so hard to follow the action at times. Like, we were watching it in my sitting room, like closing the windows and like making sure the kitchen light wasn't coming in. And even then, it was difficult to see what was happening. But I do agree that they managed to kind of choreograph it well, and that they didn't spend too much time with just like the
It's
battle,
so true that your brain just shuts down if you watch it for too long.
Yeah, and that it was just so darkly lit, but at the same time it was great in that we still had those moments of like Arya going through the halls of Winterfell, and there was definitely opportunities to show different sides of the battle, and they did with like Sansa and Tyrion, and then the crypts as well. So yeah, it was a phenomenal episode overall. Like,
even
what an
like
achievement.
setting the stakes with that Dothraki charge at the start. Like, we finally heard non-stop about how class they are. And then you just slowly see all the lights go out. You're like, oh!
that was, to be fair, an incredible scene. It was an incredible shot. And one of, I suppose, the reasons why I didn't actually love the episode.
Yeah, you were hating on it.
Like, I suppose, like, you look at, like, you know, the likes of Jon Snow, all these, like, Jorah, all these military commanders, and, like, they just send the cavalry off straight away. Like, see you later, lads, best of luck. And I think it's just to create that shot. And as you say, the lighting was horrendous. And I call a spade. It was so hard to see
I didn't find this at all.
Like,
really?
I watched it on my phone, and I had the brightness
You watched it on your
100%.
phone. You watched the biggest battle scene ever filmed.
We had to watch it at 6 a.m. and I was meant to get up, but
I also
just
watched it on
didn't,
my
so I
phone.
watched it.
Did you go watch it on your phone?
Yeah.
Well then,
Because I have people in my house who aren't getting up at 5 a.m. to watch Game of Thrones.
the way it should be watched on your phone.
Exactly.
I watched it on a
Absolutely.
widescreen TV. So, but
This
even
is a millionaire here. Celtic Tiger is alive.
yes, I own a TV. Life is going well.
But I just think a lot of it was just ridiculous. A lot of the fights, and the fact that like
Ridiculous is a bit
they were
harsh.
they got overwhelmed countless times.
Yes.
But the main characters seemed to be able to saunter around the castle at their will.
They did get to
And
saunter enough.
How many times did you see Jaime Lannister, Brienne, Pod, Grey
Coming
Worm,
very
Sam
close.
swarmed
Yeah.
by whites? Despite,
Yeah.
like, whereas the Dothraki, like, it was like somebody just breathes air past them and everyone's gone.
Yeah.
I thought the Force, though, the way they showed the Army of the Dead, like, towards the end, it's just raining bodies as they jump themselves off into the courtyard or whatever. I just thought it was such a good aesthetic, like them building bridges over the flaming pits.
Yeah, they're smart enough for a load of dead people, aren't they? Because initially I was laughing.
Remind me of Hardhome, what's the one on the ice in the big middle of whatever.
Hardhome, it is Hardhome, yeah.
I thought just it was so well done.
I actually, in that moment when the Night King had the whites lay across the flames, I was like, man, I pity those extras. Because they obviously had to shoot that scene.
Yeah.
Like, fair play to them.
Well, like, that's the
Well,
other
I'm sure
thing.
there was an actual fire, Dave.
In terms of the actual behind the scenes, it was what, 55 night shoots in
Yeah.
a row.
It was supposed to be
Like,
grueling.
Apparently, you just go insane. Like,
Yeah.
you're going to bed in the daytime, getting up, doing a big battle, doing that again every night in a row for 2 months. Like,
Yeah.
Now you know how our nurses feel. The night shift does. You're doing a great job, everyone.
stand with nurses. Anyway.
No. There's no anyway
No
about it.
nurses in it. Yeah.
But now, obviously, Fiona, you touched on already. The Night King is dead.
Yes.
Was this coming?
It was, as I said, that was the best part about it, in that it actually did make a lot of sense how he was killed and in the way he was killed. If people remember, there was a shot we got way back through Bran as a three-eyed raven when we saw how the Night King was made initially, and it was by the children of the forest at a werewood tree, and it was dragon glass that was stabbed into him at that exact spot where where Arya stabbed the Night King, and that created him in the first place. So his death at that exact spot at a werewood tree, in that exact spot of his body, is very important. But we also have the fact that Arya used the cat's paw dagger, which is the very reason for the whole Game of Thrones drama
started the war,
beginning.
yeah,
It started
yeah.
the war, because that is the dagger that was used to kill Bran Stark, that later in season 7 Littlefinger gave back to Bran Stark, even
Yeah.
though Bran saw right through that.
That was like episode 2 or something, the attempted assassination or whatever.
Yeah, exactly, and set off the whole, as you said, the War of the Five Kings. But also then, importantly, Bran Stark then in, I think it was that season, wasn't it, in season 7, Bran
gave
Stark
it to him.
gave it to Arya Stark at the werewood tree. So I suppose it's posing the question that Bran always knew that this is how it was going to end.
I really don't know, yeah. Was he meant to have been clued in? I don't know. I don't think he knew the way things were going to go down in the future. But it's the same with Melisandre,
Yeah.
where she obviously was staring Arya out of it in the opening scene of the episode, and you're like, okay, this is going to be significant or whatever. But again, she prophesized that, what was it, that she'd defeat Brown Eyes, Green Eyes, Blue Eyes. I don't know, I think that's a real generic prophecy.
Should I?
That's all the eyes.
Well, that's all the eyes.
What other ones are there?
But
Well,
I
it's
think
on a postcard to the usual address.
Melisandre saying that to her back then, we always just thought it was about her being like the face, or going to the
Yeah.
become the assassin that she did. So I think when she specifically then, it was funny. It was like a weird like hero pep talk of like,
Yeah.
because it was that kind of like initially we saw Arya in like her full assassin mode, and then she was scared shitless, and she was kind
Yeah.
of back to being like the Arya as a kid, we remember. And then it was just like a few words from Melisandre to be like, blue eyes, you know what you need to do.
Yeah,
Not
exactly.
today, Arya. And then she was gone. But then somehow there was so much action going on that we actually forget that Arya ran
They
out of
did
there.
such a good job
Yeah,
of that.
with the
because
mission
they
of what
really
she was gonna
distracted
do.
us with Jon fighting the dragon and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I think you could nearly explain the fact that she kind of regressed that bit because she had her head hopped off a wall.
Yeah,
So she
exactly.
might have been a bit
true.
concussed, like,
Yeah.
'cause she
And even
seemed
I
a bit
loved
dazed
seeing
after
that was another death, fucking Sir Beric.
Yes.
He was brought back all those times because he had to defend her for the Lord of Light or whatever.
Yeah.
That was his whole purpose. So same with Melisandre, she just walks into the snow after her job's done.
Yeah. Now, one of my, I think it would be one of the better scenes, one of the better clips rather than scenes, was when Arya was approaching the Night King and when the wisp of hair on the White Walker went. You're like,
Chills.
all right, something's happening here.
Yeah.
That I actually went back and I looked at it after what am I on about? Episode was over.
Yeah.
And when Melisandre gave her the pep talk, gave her the Michael Jordan special stuff,
Yeah.
and she tore off.
Yeah.
I went back and listened. I'm pretty sure she was like stomping away through that room, and then like at one point did she go, "I forgot to turn on my silent feet," like, and she did.
I
and
think it was
worked
so
great.
good though as well, because it was like no one's ever going to be able to get close enough to the Night King to do
Yeah.
any damage to him or whatever.
Yeah.
And then just as she came over the shoulder, it was just so good, screaming.
Yeah,
Like,
the over the shoulder shot was unreal. It was
Yeah.
actually quite similar to the one from episode 1 in the Umbers when you had the Umber child up against the wall, and
Yeah.
it was out of focus, and like you were focusing
You're
on,
like, oh,
on
Jesus.
Tormund's face in that instance. But in this one, you were very much focusing on the Night King, very, very slowly
Yeah.
reaching for his sword.
yeah.
A little disappointed actually
Jesus.
in the Night King.
Would you say you're a nitpicker, Dave?
Yeah, absolutely.
This is true, though.
This whole thing about how they recast the Night King,
Yeah.
so that the stuntman would have been
didn't
taking
know
on the role.
this.
He was a stuntman, like, and I was like, oh man, he's gonna have some class sword fight at some point. He must be unreal. And then he just got shanked.
Yeah, I was like,
Yeah.
And I also, sorry, just what you said there was also like that classic
talk.
Bond villain thing of, I'm going to go to kill you
Yeah.
very slowly.
Yeah.
I'm going to take as much time as I want.
Yeah,
Very
exactly.
slowly. Is Arya here yet? You know? And it's like, why don't you just run over and kill him? Like,
Yeah.
if that's the mission,
If he
it's just
ran there
like...
at that point, it would have ruined it. It
I
was like,
don't know.
quickly.
I enjoyed
It was just,
it.
and also, sorry, another point, the directions, the music playing over
That
those.
piano refrain
Yeah,
in the
that is
second half.
the composer Ramin Djawadi. I'm probably saying his name wrong.
Sure.
But he composes all the kind of Game of Thrones score. But it was phenomenal, and I think it's
It was
what
great,
they do
yeah.
very well in Game of Thrones is that they kind of make this. They do it a lot, especially in Miguel Sapochnik's episode of having that slow piece where everything feels really hopeless.
Yes.
And it's slow, and you're like,
audio
oh,
almost
no.
drowns out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's like, oh god, everything is so bad. And then even watching the Night King and Bran, and I was like, but Daenerys is there and Jon is there, and it was
Yeah.
just like, how is this going to pan out? Is the Night King? And then I was kind of wondering if that moment would happen where, you know, these theories about Bran being the Night King.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
like, was it just
yeah,
going to be
those
some
were all
moments
shot
of
down.
like they just morph into each other? And it was just so fantastic after all the theorizing that we did to literally have no idea what was going to happen in that moment.
Yeah, because I mean, whatever about us predicting the rest of the series, we've just been fed a good bit there. Like that was what
Yeah.
everything was building up to for
Yeah.
so many seasons.
And
so
an
many
awful lot of
plotlines.
theories and predictions are all in the bin. Okay, folks, that's enough now about the Night King and Arya. I'm going to move on to the other deaths in the episode. There obviously were, well, there were a sizable chunk, weren't there? But some of our kind of minor... Owen, you seem quite excited. So I'm naturally going to come to you first, Fiona. And I'm going to
Thank
ask
you.
you which of the secondary characters' deaths was the most impactful for you?
Yeah, well, I thought there'd be a lot more, but I'd say one of the best ones I thought was Lyanna Mormont, and that the directors had said that they actually, that actress was only, or Lyanna Mormont was only supposed to be a one-scene role, and then they met Bella Ramsey, who played her, and of course everyone loved Lyanna Mormont, so they thought that she had to have a much bigger role in this season and get a much bigger death.
Yeah.
So I thought it was really cool that, like, as I said, it was like one of the littlest characters took on one of the biggest characters. And
Yeah.
even in her final moments, she was a badass, you know,
Yeah.
and took down that giant. So yeah, I thought it was a fitting end to a great character that we only had a small amount of time with.
Yeah, and the Mormont house could now be demolished, perhaps. I thought
Yes.
Jorah's death was. I don't know. I thought it was exactly what the way he was always going to go, kind of defending Khaleesi or whatever. So I don't know. It was very bittersweet though. He survived so much, and just to go out like that.
Yeah,
Tough.
I thought it was good to see Daenerys Targaryen in that like high emotional like mood, whatever, you know. That
Was it
she
the first time we saw her use a sword?
Yeah, which seemed
Yeah.
very out of place.
Yeah.
But fair play to her, she got a few kills in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was.
Oh, Sam.
She got more kills than
He
Sam.
came close to death about 58
I know.
times or something.
Did you notice that moment when Jon saw him and was like, oh, fuck this, leave
Yeah.
him. I have enough to be taken care of rather than looking after
I love
Sam.
that they must have been they built up so much to the idea that it was going to be Jon
Yeah,
doing all
yeah.
the killing. So he was like, I gotta forget about my friends or whatever. But
Yeah.
it didn't
Yeah,
pan out
because
that
he
way.
literally went like, sorry girlfriend / aunt, sorry best friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got a world to save.
Guys, they
Yeah.
still haven't filled us in on whether the incest is cool or not.
I know.
Well, I feel like it's implied.
Yeah.
that they're grand.
Everybody
with
got
it.
over it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Theon as well, I thought had a great death in that his character really did come full circle and he got his moment to be a hero, and he also got kind of the final forgiveness, I guess, from Bran
Yeah.
over what happened. So I thought that was a really...
I loved what the creators said, where it was like he was just running at death and facing it. He knows he's not going to beat the Night King, but
Yeah.
like it's all about the way you go out.
Yeah, yeah.
Personally, the most impactful death for me was Dolores Ed.
Really?
Yeah, because
Really?
he was the
Oh,
only
we got
one.
slagged over this. It's Dolores said.
Sorry, excuse me.
Don't piss off the fans, Dave. They don't like it.
They're
the
vocal.
Like it was because it was one of the only moments that was kind of believable where somebody drops their guard for a second
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
gets killed, as opposed to the multitude of other characters who seemingly got swarmed.
Yeah,
100
it was kind of
times
at
and
least
were
there was
just
a
fine.
big quick fright or whatever.
Yeah, like how many times did Grey Worm get
He
covered
saw
in
it
people?
out.
Like,
And
We were
Brienne
dead
and
wrong.
Jamie, like...
I absolutely got that bang on. I said Grey Worm would survive, didn't I?
You did.
He was planning that cruise. That's a sure death
Yeah.
sentence. Like,
Yeah, he couldn't focus on the spear at all. Now, all right, okay. I'm going to move on here, and obviously one of the best things about watching an episode of Game of Thrones is heading straight onto Twitter and seeing the best tweets floating around.
the sassy tweets.
Absolutely, the sassier the better, I say. You know me, I'm a sassy character. But
Are you?
no, not
No.
at all.
You're dry, Dave. That's your thing.
I appreciate that.
Incredibly dry.
Right, here's the best of them.
Arya! That was by Pedro Pascal. He was the Viper. He's in the show.
Sophie Turner is all of us after that Game of Thrones episode.
Arya really is that bitch. Yes, you are, bitch!
The Nightwalkers to the Dothraki army.
Arya fucking Stark rejoining the Winterfell gang next episode.
The only thing I learned about the Night King is that he could smirk.
I would like to thank Melisandre for increasing the lighting in this episode by 100.
Cersei right now while everyone else is dying.
Oh. Speaking of what's coming next,
What is coming next?
now that everybody's predictions, well, there's definitely like 12 people are like, nailed it.
A lot of us
Yeah.
were thrown off.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to know.
Game
I
of
think-
Thrown off.
Yeah, Game
Yeah?
of Thrown off.
That's
Nice.
incredible.
Yeah, you're welcome. Take that one home. That one's for free. The next one will cost you.
I don't know. I think the next episode is going to be another chat episode. Then there's going to be a big battle episode, and then there's going to be a conclusion episode. So what do you fit into that? I think
I'm looking for something a little more micro in your predictions.
no.
here.
There's going to be a TV show. There will be things.
It'll run from 8 to 90,000.
It'll be
minutes.
interesting to see what surprises they have left in store for us,
Yeah.
because it could end any which way. I don't know.
I think the fact that they've taken care of the Night King and the Army of the Dead after the third episode was something that, I mean, we kind of said it in passing in last week's episode that it might happen. I genuinely did think that would take us right up to the end.
Yes.
And I'm almost a bit annoyed that Cersei has just gotten away scot-free by not having to face the Night King or the Army of the Dead. You
Yeah.
know, it's like, God damn it, woman. But I think what now we have on our hands is that it's Cersei versus Daenerys.
Yeah.
And looking at
Or
Daenerys.
John, maybe.
And, well, Jon has a decision to make now because Jon obviously should support Daenerys considering she stopped everything to support him.
Yeah.
But Sansa is very much trying to hold her own with the North. So is Sansa going to be with Daenerys?
Yeah,
But,
because she had some dialogue with Tyrion there that implies, she's still
yeah,
not
split
on
loyalties.
board with Dany's plan at all. Yeah.
So I think it's going to be some kind of, I wouldn't say showdown between Sansa, Daenerys and Jon, but there's going to be something that to play out there. I also think that, yeah, as we said, Daenerys' armies have been wiped out. She still has some men there.
Dothraki are completely gone.
Yeah, Unsullied almost completely gone. A lot of the northern men are gone. So, and of course Cersei has the Golden Company. She's got the army of King's Landing. So I think if you're looking at actual soldiers, Cersei still has more, but then Daenerys still has her 2 dragons. So,
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
yeah, it'll be interesting to see how their war plays out. And also, how the hell does anyone have energy for another battle after that?
Yeah.
I
I hope
would
the next
literally be
episode
like-
is like 3 years later.
Yeah.
Like everybody just relaxed for a bit.
They
or
do.
something.
They're in the preview trailer. There is a bit of they're all having a bit of a session, and Daenerys is like, "Yay!" So I'm like, "Oh, good. Let them have some beer, and recover."
Yeah, they
like,
deserve
Yeah.
some chill out.
Yeah.
There's one thing that we're definitely due, which is Clegane Bowl.
yes,
Yes,
or
yes.
Clegane Bowl.
Yes.
Clegane
Bowl?
Clegane.
Bowl.
Yeah.
Anyway.
The lads.
The Hound versus the Mountain.
I was surprised he survived. Like when I saw him shoot off to help Arya, I was like, oh, that's the end of him. So
yeah,
another
but that's why
sacrifice.
I think, yeah, as you said, that will definitely happen because he survived.
Yes.
Mm.
And maybe now his job is to keep her alive again for the final few episodes. I still think if anyone's going to kill Cersei, it's her. She's on her list.
Well, and people are saying that Melisandre was saying blue eyes, which was Night King, brown eyes, which was Walder Frey, and the green eyes is Cersei Lannister.
Oh, so yeah, is
Excited
she
Owen is back.
is she the prince that was promised or whatever? I don't want to get too much into the lore, but I don't know.
There is talk, I mean, there's nothing confirmed that Arya is the prince that was promised, but there's theories.
It's who the Red
point-
Priestess was living
Yeah,
for. the
but now
whole
she's
time, so-
dead, so it's sort of, I mean, it's hard to know how important this whole prince that was promised theory. I initially thought this was hugely important, that it was definitely Jon or Daenerys. Obviously, me and so many others were completely wrong about that. Is Arya Stark the prince that was promised? She could be. I mean, there's a whole theory about that dagger actually going back in history, Targaryen history,
Sure.
and possibly being this Lightbringer sword that we initially thought was Jon's. So there's certain things, you know, like the prince that was promised was supposed to be born in certain conditions, and Arya wasn't
right.
necessarily. So it's maybe she was, maybe it's not even important anymore.
Yeah. Oh, tough to know.
Yeah. I'm going to drop a word in here. I want you to discuss the name. Bronn. What's happening there?
Bronn
That will give us something to munch on.
Is that going to be a whole episode? It better not be a
No,
whole
it
episode.
won't.
Could Tyrion be killed by the crossbow, or will he not? I can't see Bronn. I still stand by. Why would you send your Bronn
Yeah.
to go kill his best mate?
Well, he's classic killing, and he's gone on the record many times
He loves
that he'll
cash.
do whatever for a big bag of cash.
But then Tyrion has said, whatever she offers you, I'll give you more. So
Yeah,
I reckon
but-
Bronn's going to turn up and be like, so
Yeah, but what's Tyrion got? Should they have about 30 lads going to be knocking
repeated
on the
that.
door? There'll be two
Yeah.
dragons.
dragons.
Yeah, but come on now, the opening credits, how many times have they shown that dragon,
Yeah.
catapult, ballista, whatever you want to call it? Like, that's coming into play.
Yes.
It is, whether you like it or not.
Where is at the opening credits, where is that?
It's when they're showing King's Landing and it's like the building of the ballista
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
the dragon skull straight in front of it goes bang.
Right.
True, yeah.
So what do you think that signifies?
Back.
I reckon at least one of the dragons is going to get killed
Be
by
another
that.
dragon there. Well, I thought it was
Right.
killed in this episode. Turns out I was wrong. But
We're
There was a
all
lot
wrong.
of uncertainty about who was killed and who wasn't with
If there's
the
one thing I'm
dragons.
certain of, is that we're all wrong about everything.
yeah,
all the
exactly.
time.
And we should just watch the show, and it doesn't merit discussing.
Absolutely. You know what? That's a great point. I'm going to
Thanks
wrap
for
it up right there. Thanks for tuning in, folks.
We know
hope-
nothing.
we
What?
hope you've enjoyed talking about the episode as much as we have. I know Owen has had a bloody terrible time. But we very much do appreciate you watching, and we'll see you next week for the Throne Show after episode 4.
Woo!